Oh, yeah, it's Thursday, y'all. It's Thursday.
Friday
you know what that
Eve.
means. Excuse me, I don't know about Friday Eve. It's Thursday. That means Thursday night football. That means we're previewing week 5 of the NFL season. Got some NBA stuff to talk about. My man AI, Allen Iverson, made news. We'll discuss that. Jason Kidd is going to be in the house. And again, because it's Thursday, that means a beatdown is coming for this Thursday's
You
guest.
don't believe that.
No, there it is. Dan Orlovs.
You don't believe that.
He wants some. Let him come get some. He knows better. Nice suit, by the way.
Thank you.
Suit. That's about the only nice thing I got to say.
I almost
about
didn't
you
wear
today.
the tie because I got the blue buttons underneath. But
Whatever.
I said, you know what?
Whatever.
I'm on with
Whatever.
respectful young man, Stephen A. Let me
I
wear
got
the
a
tie.
surprise for you, Dan Orlovs.
Come on.
I got a surprise for you. You in trouble, brother.
You think you're the
Let's
only
go.
one?
Roll the tape.
You don't win a season at the beginning of October. It's about getting better each and every week.
Heavy grind, yeah, this is dedication. This is blood, sweat, this is how I really made it.
As far as being 4-0, go 1-0 each and every week.
You can't stop the pressure.
We got to continue to build on this culture.
I'm on another level.
Sky's the limit. We just got to keep it going.
It's the ride.
It's the biggest game that we got. It's the next game.
Good day. It is Friday Eve, like you like to call it, from Lala, Mr. Smith.
What's going
in
on?
the sunshine.
What's
How
going
are
on?
we feeling?
How y'all
Are you
doing?
having fun out here?
I'm good. I'm good.
You're enjoying yourself?
Life is comfortable.
Okay.
Life is comfortable. The sunshine. It was about 85 degrees yesterday, and it's expected to be similar today. So I'm good.
Okay. Dan, how are you doing?
I'm good.
I'm great. 85 degrees in the middle of October sounds terrible, though. We're at like a nice 58 to 62 here in Connecticut. Feels like fall. We got the leaves changing. It feels like football at 85 in October. That's not what it's like.
He's going apple picking later, pumpkin
Somebody
picking.
that's in Connecticut would say that.
Yeah, I love it.
My home state.
Yeah,
That's
you
where
know
my
it,
heart
Miles.
is, though.
You know it.
I know. No, I do love it. But
Are y'all interested in going back?
But
You
my,
interested in going back?
but my tan is real nice.
That's right.
All right, let's keep going. Stephen A., you cannot complain about this Thursday night football matchup, sir. We got the 3-1 Rams facing the 2-2 Seahawks. Matthew Stafford looking to bounce back after the loss to the Chargers. Seattle trying to build on their momentum after taking down the Niners. Now, while the Seahawks have made the postseason in 8 of Russell Wilson's first 9 NFL seasons, they've struggled to get over the hump since losing Super Bowl 49 to New England. In that span, Seattle failed to make it beyond the divisional round, posting a 3-5 record in those games. Dan, talk to me. Has Russell Wilson plateaued in Seattle?
Russell Wilson has plateaued in Seattle, but it's not because of Russell Wilson. Now, Russell Wilson has reached the peak, right? He's reached the pinnacle. He's won a Super Bowl. But Russell Wilson's plateau as a player in the last 3 years is 105 touchdowns and 25 picks. They've gone 11-5, 12-4, 10-6. So, yeah, he has absolutely plateaued. But his plateau is a top 5 quarterback in the NFL, top 6 quarterback in the NFL. Had the Seahawks plateaued Russell Wilson, or has he plateaued because of that organization? Absolutely. I have been on record. I think the Seahawks have absolutely failed Russell Wilson over the last 5 or 6 years. Name me the one impactful. I can name you one impactful player in the last 3 or 4 years out of their draft. DK Metcalf in 2019. We could go 2 and go Tyler Lockett 2016. Those are the only 2 impactful guys that the Seattle Seahawks have drafted in the last 5 years for Russell Wilson. There's been some good players here and there, but no one that's impactful like a DK or Tyler Lockett. And so Russell Wilson, you're not going to get much better quarterback play than what he has given you over the last 4 or 5 seasons. It just doesn't exist. And the fact that they've been a really good team, but not great, not NFC Championship, not Super Bowl appearance great, yes, he's plateaued there. And I think it's a realistic question. We heard the conversation this offseason that he was unhappy about some stuff. And so if they're going to continue to be a really good team and he's going to throw for another 35-plus touchdowns but not be good enough, he's got to ask himself, have I reached my kind of greatest, have I gone as far as I can go with Seattle? And is there a different situation for me in the future? Because the organization has not supported him in the totality of the football team, in the greatness of the football team. They've picked some good receivers, but yeah, Russell Wilson has plateaued in Seattle.
Oh, cry me a river. I mean, you got to be kidding me, man. Listen. When you say what you say, theoretically, from the perspective of his stats and what have you, I get where you're coming from. Right now, he's completing 72% of his passes. He's fresh off of throwing 40 touchdowns, just 13 interceptions last year. The 125 and 25 in terms of TD to interception ratio. I get all of that. And they've been to the playoffs the last 3 years. They lost to the Dallas Cowboys. Don't get me started. 3 years ago, 2 years ago, it was to Green Bay. Last year, it was to the Los Angeles Rams. I get all of that. But I would remind you, Dan Orlovsky, they go to the Super Bowl and lose the Super Bowl win. This was in 2014. Right. And from that moment forward, they handed the franchise over to Russell Wilson. Right. You got to remember, you got beast mode that's balling out. All right, you decide not to give him the ball at the half-yard line after he got you there. You gave the ball to Russell Wilson. He throws the interception to Malcolm Butler in the Super Bowl. From that moment on, obviously, the Legion of Boom just dissipated before our very eyes. You hand the franchise to Russell Wilson. I'm not saying that you shouldn't have it because I'm saying he's big time. Yeah. He's big time. But when we ask the question about plateauing, when we ask the question about peaking, you didn't listen. The man went to back-to-back Super Bowls, won a Super Bowl championship. It don't get much better than that. Now he's 32, 33 years of age. It ain't going to get much better than what it once was. But you did go to him and hand him the franchise. Not just the money. You basically said, listen, it's your franchise. We're going to ride with you. Last couple of years, you got DK Metcalf. You got Tyler Lockett. You got Carson in the backfield.
How's the defense?
Excuse me. Yeah, the defense is suspect. The defense, I understand that. But what I'm saying is we live in the age of a hard cap. You got a guy in Russell Wilson that you want to take care of. I'm saying yes, Molly. The fact is, we could say what we say about Russell Wilson with Seattle, we could say about a lot of other dudes. We've had conversations about Aaron Rodgers. Who's been going off about Aaron Rodgers and the lack of support that he's had for years? I got news for you. Seattle, at times, their defense looked better than Green Bay's. We weren't saying that about Aaron Rodgers. We didn't let him off the hook. So why would we do that for Russell Wilson?
But Russell Wilson has 9 pass TDs, 0 interceptions. Stephen A., their team has the worst time of possession in the NFL.
Talk to
they
him,
haven't
Molly.
even had the ball to do anything.
Talk to him.
Excuse me. They're 2-2. They're 2-2 right now. You are the franchise quarterback. I'm not saying everything is on you, but most of it is going to be. When you make the noise that you made in the offseason, when you sit up there and you look at Pete Carroll and you talk to him about buffering your offensive line, that's what the conversation was. We didn't hear Russell Wilson say anything about that defense. We didn't hear him saying anything about making sure you buffer us on the offensive side of the ball, about making sure everything else is taken care of. He wanted to take care of himself. I'm not knocking him because if you're the quarterback and you behind center, Dan Orlovsky, I certainly don't mind, and I have no problem with you saying, excuse me, protect me, damn it, I'm getting beat up here. Sure. I get all of that. But all of these other things that we want to bring up, Russell Wilson had an opportunity to bring that up. All he brought up was the offensive line. That's all he said anything about. That's it. Am I lying about that?
No, this offseason, that was, but he said he wanted more impact or input when it came to player acquisition. Yes, it was very much so focused on the offensive line. This is where you're wrong, because you make the comment, Stephen A., of they gave him the organization once they decided to pay him, as they should have, 100%. Now, when you do that in the NFL, it is incumbent on you as an organization to draft well, because you're going to have less capital to make up for some of those missed draft picks. If you look at the Kansas City Chiefs, you know why the Kansas City Chiefs are in such a great situation after paying Patrick Mahomes? Because they're going to continue to draft well. Do you want to know why the Buffalo Bills will be in a great situation? Because they continue to draft well. Do you want to know why the Baltimore Ravens will be fine once they pay Lamar Jackson? Because their organization will draft well. And that's why Russell Wilson, after this offseason, saying, you know what? I'm not happy with some of the input that I have here, or we're not winning enough games. We're good, but we're not good enough. Because the organization decided, well, Russell, we'll pay you all this money. I'm not going to say decided, but they paid him all that money, but then they have failed to do the number one job. The number one job once you pay your quarterback is you better hit on your draft picks. And they've hit twice in the last 5, Stephen A. That's not going to cut it. And so a quarterback
I'm not saying it would. I'm saying you can't let Russell Wilson off the hook in terms of his culpability and all of that. That's all I'm saying.
But off the hook, Stephen A., he's thrown for 105 touchdowns and 20.
This is what I think.
I'm talking about the organization.
I want to move on here.
Sure.
I think it's fair to hold it against him that he took the money, so maybe they can't get the people around him, but it's certainly not his play why they're losing. Dan, I want to ask you this. Which quarterback would you rather have, though? Because obviously they're playing the Rams tonight, a great Thursday night football matchup. Would you rather have Russell Wilson Dan,
Come
because you're
on.
really making a strong case for Wilson. So
Come
I'm assuming
on.
you're going to go Wilson, or are you going to go Detroit? Matthew
Yeah,
Stafford.
I'm gonna go
Obviously,
the
I know
Nina.
he's in LA now, everyone.
Yeah, I'm going Nina, Matthew Stafford. I
Oh,
think
Lord.
Stephen A. Matthew
Oh, Lord.
Stafford right now. Matthew Stafford right now is the best version we've ever seen of him because he finally has a coach that knows what he does well. He's finally got the proper talent around him. He's finally got the
What if
team
Wilson
to support
was on
him.
that team?
11 touchdowns and 2 picks already. 1,200 plus yards. You're going to look at the Arizona game and get all freaked out about it. I'm not gonna. He's still an MVP candidate. He's still a top 5 MVP player right now. This dude's going to throw for over 5,000 yards this year and 35 touchdowns easily. This
Not
team's
if
going to
he
win.
keeps targeting Cooper Kupp all the time.
This
I
team's
tell
going
you
to
that
win.
much.
He's going to win 11 or 12 games. They're going to be right in the thick of the playoff. If you had to ask me right now who I think is the best team in the NFC, I still think it's the Los Angeles Rams, even though of last week's game versus the Arizona Cardinals. I'll give you the number one reason why, outside of all those, the number one reason why I'll take Matthew out over Russell, and I love Russell. I just told you how great he is, all that. Give me the ball in the fourth quarter. Whether I'm down or tied or I got to make a play to win the game, I'll take number 9 over almost everybody in the NFL, and I'll take him over Russell Wilson. No one has more fourth quarter comebacks in the NFL. Actually, Tom Brady does, I believe. Tom Brady and Ben Roethlisberger, more fourth quarter comebacks since over the last 10 or 12 years in the NFL. Russell Wilson's got 8 less than Matthew Stafford. So if this game tonight comes down to the fourth quarter and I got to choose which guy I want, give me 9.
Listen, that's really, really nice. I love how you left out the fact that that's your former teammate and that's your buddy, and you know what, there's an emotional connection there. I love how you just omitted all of that during your soliloquy there. Just left that out about Matthew
It's not necessary.
Yeah, it's necessary, damn it. And here's the reason why. You just made the argument for me when you were talking about Russell Wilson, the manner in which he has played not just this season, but how consistently excellent he's pretty much been over the course of his career. He's already a Super Bowl champion. He's been to back-to-back Super Bowls. He's been to the playoffs the last 3 years. Okay, he's only missed the playoffs once as a starting quarterback for the Seattle Seahawks. And you're giving me a guy, albeit a former teammate of yours, your buddy,
Do it.
who has not won a playoff game in his entire 12-year
Don't
career.
do that.
Now, I understand. Believe me, it's the Detroit Lions organization. It's not Matthew Stafford. I know the brother has skills. I get all of that. But damn it, you still got to offer a donut on your resume. And I'm like, all I'm saying to you is this. Could you at least have the decency to let the man win a playoff game first? Could you do that?
Stephen A.
Could we trickle through this season? Could we trickle through this season, get to the postseason, and then say, yo, Matthew Stafford, okay, I believe in you, but you got to at least win a playoff game first before you're going to put him above Russell Wilson. Could you do that?
Okay, Stephen A. In 2014, I was on that team that went down to Dallas in a playoff game. We got hosed by the officials. There's your playoff win. Or in 2016,
Officials?
2016, he went to Seattle against Russell Wilson and had the game won on Calvin Johnson into the end zone, and the officials again made a dog trash call. Those are your 2 playoff wins. Again, if you gave me one guy tonight with the ball in the fourth quarter and they needed to go score a touchdown to win, I am taking Matthew Stafford.
And what
Bottom
evidence? Okay, and I'm saying to you, fair enough, because we are talking about the regular season. What I was going to say to you is that if we're talking about the postseason, what possible evidence do you have to buffer that point?
My eyes.
0. Nothing.
My eyeballs.
Nothing.
My
No
eyeballs.
That's what it is. That's
My
what it
eyeballs.
is. Okay,
Yeah.
okay. He's
So you're taking
he's
Wilson.
emotional. He's emotional. I'm saying the resume says so. The resume says
Okay.
so. Dan's giving me emotion. I'm giving you a resume. Which one you taking?
I gave you facts.
Which one you taking? No, please. You got okay, you got your alternative facts, but I'll leave that alone.
Let this game come down
All
to the
right,
fourth
we'll
quarter,
have
Molly.
more
I'll be
on
on
this
first
game
take
later.
on Friday.
Yeah, you do that.
Oh, please
You do
come
that.
on. We'll be
You do
ready
that.
for you.
You do that.
All right, Rams are favored by 2.5 tonight. We'll have more on this game a little later, guys. Still to come on First Take, a double dose of Dallas, Stephen A. Southern Steve, might the Cowboys be on upset alert this weekend against my G-Men? Wait till you hear why. Talk to me, people. The other team in Dallas that those fans love, the Mavs, they have a new head man in charge down there, Jason Kidd, going one-on-one with Stephen A. live on First.
Wonderful. Good morning. Good morning, Stephen A.
Appreciate you being on the show. You took this job with the Dallas Mavericks. Why? What was it that excited you about this job?
Well, I think you brought up a name early, and that's Luka. You talk about one of the best players in this league, only 22 years old. I felt that I could help him. I know that he's going to be considered an MVP candidate. I've been around a couple of MVP candidates, and so my job for Luka is just to make it easy. But, you know, the biggest draw is that we have a young team, exciting team, a team that set records offensively. And I felt that if I can give some defensive principles, we could be one of those teams that can raise that gold trophy at the end of the season. Why not this year?
When Mark Cuban interviewed you for this job, obviously Dirk Nowitzki and others had a lot to do with you getting the job because Dirk Nowitzki obviously has significant say within that organization at this particular moment in time, as well as he should, considering his greatness and what he's done for the Dallas Mavericks all of those years. Nevertheless, when you took the job, what did Mark Cuban tell you he needed from you and he needed from this team specifically?
Well, Mark, his first thing was be yourself. You know, we all understand that you have a high basketball IQ. You understand what it takes to win, and you understand what it takes, what it means to work. And so he's been great. I've played for Mark, won a championship, and so I understand that he's competitive. He wants to win, and so, but he also understands that we all have to work and do our part. And so that was the first conversation that we have had, in understanding that it's really simple. Be in the gym, make guys better, and have fun doing it.
Bottom line is you're the new head coach. You got a new president of basketball operations in Nico Harrison, who I know very, very well and expect to do a tremendous job now that you've replaced Rick Carlisle. He's obviously replaced Don Nelson. When you took this job, you've obviously heard a lot of noise about Luka Doncic and the relationship that he has with Kristaps Porzingis. What can you tell us about what you heard, and what could you tell us about where you believe that relationship is now and is heading?
Well, I think we all heard in the NBA circle that there was, tension between the two. But I would have to say that's fake news. I think they both want to compete. I think they really want to compete. There were some other issues that I thought they did a great job of keeping in-house. It had nothing to do with those two. And so I'm excited. I think the relationship between the two of them is at a high level. They're basketball players who want to compete and who, they want to win. And for a coach, I have to put them in that position to be successful. But I think their relationship is great.
Other issues like what? Because when we look at these two guys, we know that Doncic is a star. We know that he's a stud. And we had a lot of expectations for Porzingis, primarily due to the health, obviously, that interfered with a lot of it. But what else about Kristaps Porzingis is missing or was missing that is going to be alleviated now?
Well, I think just being a basketball player. I think in the past system, he was, limited to doing a couple things. I want KP to be a basketball player. When you saw him in New York, he was a basketball player. He wasn't limited to just shooting threes. I really believe that we can play through him in the post, play through him in the mid-range, and play basketball. Those points count. And I think he has a skill set at 7'3" to be able to deliver that. And so I'm excited to be able to see him be himself and not be limited to just shooting threes.
Now, Coach, you've had a lot of experiences yourself. You were in Brooklyn, you were in Milwaukee. Things didn't work out there. But I was very happy that you got this job. I felt you deserved it. I felt you paid your dues. And obviously, you're one of the great basketball minds that exist in this game. Where do you feel you are and where your growth spurt has taken place in order for you to warrant this position as being the new head coach of the Dallas Mavericks? What's different about you now compared to what you were when you were in Brooklyn and Milwaukee as a head coach?
Well, I think the biggest difference is, I went straight from playing to becoming a head coach and responsible for 15 players. I think 2 or 3 of those players are going to be Hall of Famers in Brooklyn. And so just understanding what it meant, the responsibility of 15 guys. As a player, as a point guard, you're responsible for 4 guys on the floor and yourself. And there's a big difference between that. And so going through that, I was very fortunate to have those older players in Brooklyn. And then when I got to Milwaukee, they were on the heels of just winning 14 games. I thought I brought what it meant and how hard it is to win in this league, and shared that they had to work hard, and we built a great foundation in Milwaukee. People always say that it didn't work out well. I think it worked out great because I taught those young guys what it meant to be a pro, what it meant to work, and Giannis turned out to be an MVP. Chris turned out to be an all-star. And so I look at it differently in a positive way, and now I can share that experience here in Dallas.
Now, the expectation, Coach, for people, looking at the basketball, particularly in the Western Conference, Lakers are the team to beat because they got a whole bunch of experienced dudes led by the great LeBron James, Anthony Davis, Russell Westbrook. Don't hurt. You got Melo there. You're looking at the Clippers, and Kawhi Leonard is expected back early. You hear about Denver once Jamal Murray gets back. You hear about Utah because of Donovan Mitchell. You hear about the Phoenix Suns because they're the reigning Western Conference champions. You don't hear much about the Dallas Mavericks other than Luka Doncic. That's about it. What's your expectation for the Dallas Mavericks this season?
Well, I think we're in a great seat. I think when you look back at last year, no one really talked about Phoenix. And then they get Chris Paul, and Chris Paul takes them and wins the Western Conference, championship. And understanding that, we feel that we have a talented team. We have a team that's back. Offensively, we know we can put the ball in the basket. Defense is where we've concentrated so far in training camp. And so it's all right to fly under the radar. Understanding there are some very talented teams, and the Lakers are going to be the favorite because of LeBron and the guys that they have in AD. And they got a great coach in Frank Vogel. So, but we feel that we can compete. And you can't play it on paper. You got to play it on the court. And we look forward to that challenge.
Your definition, last question, your definition of success for this team this year is what?
Health.
That's it.
Because, if you're healthy, a lot of good things will happen. Everybody wants to put a number on it. We always talk about the standard in the Western Conference is 50 games to punch that ticket to the playoffs. We all understand. We all have a bad taste in our mouth of what happened last year with the Clippers being up 2-0. So, we have many goals within in-house, but I think our health. If we're healthy, we could surprise, or we can be who we think can be, and that's competitive and hopefully win a championship.
Coach Kidd, my definition of success for the Dallas Mavericks this upcoming season is getting out of the first round. That's it for me. I don't care how many games you win. It's getting. You take that? You take that?
I'll take that. I'll take that because that means we're playing the second round.
All right, my man. The one and only Jason Kidd, new head coach for the Dallas Mavericks. Appreciate you, Coach. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Stephen A.
All right. Molly, back to you.
All right. We'll stay in Dallas. I like that answer, though. Health is wealth. NFC East rivalries are always a beat-up. The New York Giants riding high after a huge win over the Saints, where we saw Saquon Barkley and Daniel Jones play really well. The G-Men head to Jerry's World to face the Cowboys. Cowboys are one of 5 teams that are currently favorited by at least a touchdown ahead of their Week 5 matchup. Over the previous 10 seasons, Dallas has won 21 of 23 games when favored by at least 7 points, though they have covered that line in just 10 of those contests. Dan Orlovsky, you're up first here, sir. What team is on upset alert in Week 5?
I think it's the Cowboys. I really do. I look at this Giants team, and I understand they're 1-3. They're 5 plays away from being a 3-1 football team. And we're talking about, this record being swung over 4 or 5 snaps. I'm not the person who says you are who your record says you are. I disagree with that. I think that we're starting to see this offense with the New York Giants really start to understand who they are. Jason Garrett has been significantly better over the last 2 or 3 weeks. Kenny Golladay has started to make some plays. They remembered that Kadarius Toney, their first-round pick out of Florida, actually is on their football team. I want to give credit to Dave Gettleman. A lot of us have been critical of him, me included. He said this offseason the offensive line was going to be a little bit better. I think they are. Daniel Jones is playing really good football. Again, a guy that I've been critical about. Daniel Jones is playing some good football. Saquon Barkley every week has started to look at it a little bit better. And I said Saquon Barkley had pressure on him this year. The thing that I like about the Giants right now, Molly, is 2 or 3 weeks ago, the question was, well, why does this team keep winning or losing these games? And simply put, I said, they got to stop giving them away. They got to stop making the play to lose the game. And somebody is going to have to step up, these young players, and go, no, it's not going to be like this anymore around here. And I'm going to make the play. And this is the play right here. Look at Saquon's emotion. He knows how big a deal that was. And you're starting to see a team that says, we're done losing these games. We're done giving these games away. Now, the Cowboys are very good. I think the Giants have to match their physicality defensively. I think they got to keep the ball in front of them. They got to communicate when Dallas changes their tempo offensively. And if Dallas is going to keep playing their man-to-man coverage, Galladay's got to play big. Shep's got to be healthy. Kadarius Toney's going to have to be good. Saquon's going to have to be special. I'm not going to say it's easy, but I think the Giants are better than the nation, or kind of has the viewpoint of them, and they have the kind of the makeup to go down to Dallas and win that game.
You know what? I like that. I like the fact that Dan picked that, but I'm going to tell you something right now. I don't know if this qualifies as an upset because Buffalo has a better record than Kansas City. But I'm kind of thinking about Buffalo going into KC and knocking off Patrick Mahomes.
I'll take that
and
as
the
an
Kansas
upset.
City Chiefs.
Yeah.
I think that would be an upset, considering what we witnessed in the postseason, where Kansas City handed it to Buffalo. I think Buffalo's better. I think they're more well-balanced. I think that Kansas City doesn't appear to be the juggernaut that it has been thus far. I think we've seen Patrick Mahomes make uncharacteristic mistakes compared to what we've seen in the past. Even though he's still a stud, he's still that dude. You know, I believe in my brother from another mother, Travis Kelce, Tyreek Hill, McCole Hardman, Pringle, and those boys. But I think their defense is so suspect in Kansas City that the Buffalo Bills are primed to take advantage of that. When you look at the Josh Allen, and you know you got Diggs, and Emmanuel Sanders is such a great addition to that squad, plus they can run the football. Plus, McDermott can coach. The defense is no joke. And not only that, it's pivotal because suppose you find yourself in a situation where you're going up against them again. I think if you're the Buffalo Bills, your confidence elevates exponentially if that game in the postseason has to come to Buffalo. If you're playing in Buffalo instead of having to go to Kansas City, I think that is a game that they would be ready for. I think they're aching for that opportunity. And there's no better way to get the advantage for home field than to win a head-to-head matchup in the regular season. Yeah. And that's where I'm at with Buffalo. I'm thinking Buffalo, Kansas City. Again, Kansas City has the worse record than Buffalo. They're 2-2. Buffalo's 3-1. But we all know how we feel about Kansas City, the two-time reigning AFC champions. I think Buffalo qualifies as an upset. I think they may pull it off this weekend.
Yeah, Dan, I know you're really high on Buffalo as a team.
Yeah, I would say that Buffalo's the best team in football right now, in all of the NFL, because I think they're the most complete team in all of the NFL. Their defense is very, very good, and Josh Allen has really started to make those plays. I would say, Stephen A., because I think it's a good point, and I would say the way if the Bills win this game would be the most concerning thing, because if they go and hang 40-plus on this defense, then because we've had this question around the Chiefs of, are you concerned about their defense? And I've kind of held off a little bit because I'm such a believer in Tyrann Mathieu. And, like, if he's on the defense, I feel that they'll be okay. But if they go get 40 hung on them, then it becomes a legit concern. I'll throw another game out there that's got my attention, Molly, that I think has got at least the potential to be a really good game. The Bengals and the Packers.
Yes.
I think that Jair Alexander being out for Green Bay is an enormous deal. If T. Higgins plays for Cincinnati,
we're going to get into that one too.
Yeah, I think it's just got there's a chance for it. Yep.
But before we wrap it up really quick though, Dan, because you know it's my personal agenda and I love talking football, especially with you. Let's go back to my Giants real quick, because we had talked about this in the past, and you said you thought Daniel Jones could be a good quarterback, solid quarterback, right? But you weren't too high on him, and I was just looking at the stats. Obviously, he threw over 400 yards the last game, and he has the best completion percentage on passes thrown 15-plus yards downfield. Pretty impressive there. Do you think the ceiling is actually higher than you initially thought from what you've been seeing the past couple weeks?
Yeah, I would give him that. I would think that I've always felt that Daniel Jones could be very similar to a Kirk Cousins type of player. That is just going to be a solid guy, 12 to 15 in the quarterback world. And if the good offensive line and good skill and really good play caller, he could enter into a top 10 conversation. Yeah. But I've got to be honest, like I've been very impressed with him over the last 3 weeks. The way that you mentioned him pushing the ball downfield, he's always been really accurate. That's always been his great thing. I remember doing a breakdown of him the morning after he got drafted. This is his superpower, anticipation and accuracy. But I think the difference for me that I'm appreciating about him is the aggression. Like he's playing with supreme confidence with the football. And the difference between Daniel Jones in the last 3 weeks in comparison to any moment in his career, he has not once been careless with the football. So, Molly, if he's going to do that, if he's going to continue to play that way and not be careless with the football, then yes, he's got a higher, I guess, ceiling, we'll phrase it.
Than you expected.
Than I thought.
Well, he did throw one interception against New Orleans, but that's neither here nor there. He's completed 68, and 70% of his passes over the last 3 weeks. The only thing that I have to say other than that is, what do you mean you love talking football with Dan Orlovsky, Molly? What about me? What about me? Am I chopped liver here?
This is what I actually meant. This is what I actually meant to say, because he played the quarterback position. That's why.
I'm just saying. I
love talking all things with you, Stephen A.
I just think it's another excuse to try to give Dan and somebody else more love than me. That's all I'm saying.
Don't be insecure.
Molly, you would have thought after 20 years on television he'd have thicker skin than this.
I know.
You know what,
he just
man?
wants to be loved.
I'm gonna get you.
I'm gonna
get you. Keep
I tell you what,
I tell you, man.
Fame, it's an addictive drug. I'll tell you.
Doubt.
All right.
All right, we'll leave it there. Dallas is favored by 7, but he's going to have to continue to be careful with the football because we know Dallas has been good in takeaways, leading the league in that. Okay, guys, when we come back here on First Take, Matt Nagy finally makes the decision that everyone else knew was coming. Justin Fields, the starter moving forward. That's discussed shortly. Plus, Dan, you just talked about it. Here we go, y'all. I'm doing this for the people in Chicago. Did Matt Nagy make the right decision?
Yes, but he's 3 months too late. And you know, if he makes this decision at the beginning of August and said, okay, we traded up to go get this young man, he's going to be our quarterback. The reality is that Justin Fields has missed out on hundreds of reps. Justin Fields did not take reps with the number ones in training camp. Justin Fields did not get reps with the starters in preseason games. Now, this is going to be his third start, and everyone is going to think, well, this is Justin Fields' third start. No, it's not. This is technically his third preseason game. He's missed out on so much time within his development. And that's been my issue with everyone kept saying, well, Justin Fields is not ready. I'm aware of that. But would he have been in October? And that's my thing with, as a coach, one of the things you have to do is not necessarily see where your player is, but where your player can get to. And when you cheated Justin Fields out of all these reps, he is now a lesser player going into October 12th weekend than he would have been. And that has been my issue all along, is the inability to have foresight. Now, I think Matt Nagy kind of viewed this situation as the ideal one. When you've got a really good surrounding cast, a good offensive line, and good skill position players in, a defense that can keep you in games. And so you could win games with the bridge quarterback of Andy Dalton, but also develop Justin Fields. That's not the reality of the Chicago Bears situation. Now, we are where we are, okay? We are where we are, where Justin Fields is going to be their guy moving forward. I say the number one goal for this organization is to make Justin Fields look like Justin Herbert did last year. We walked away from the Chargers rookie season of Justin Herbert last year going, that dude's a stud. That guy's going to be an MVP candidate moving forward. And that has to be the number one goal for this football team. Number two, they got to win games. They're going to have to win games. Everyone's going to say they got the second toughest schedule left. They don't play a ton of top 10 defenses over the next 5 or 6 weeks. And then they got to figure out if Matt Nagy's going to be the guy moving forward.
All right, Dan Orlovsky, would you stop? Would you stop? Would you stop? First of all, you're wrong. First, let's get that out the way first. You're wrong on a multitude of levels. He's 3 months late or whatever. No, he's not. He's No, he's not. He's a couple of weeks late. Okay, that's number one. Number two, you yourself have to admit, because you came on the air last week when he got shellacked, okay, by the Cleveland Browns, because there was somebody who never played football. All right, just a little old reporter from for all of these years, New York Daily News, Philadelphia Inquirer, and then obviously for CNN, Fox Sports, ESPN.
Get the whole resume out.
That would be me. That would be me.
Wikipedia page?
I was the guy. I was the guy, Dan Orlovsky, who said, "Don't put that boy up in there against the Cleveland Browns.
No.
You don't want that Myles Garrett, Jadeveon Clowney, and those brothers. See, that's the stuff right there. I'm gonna get you, Molly, but it's all right. Here's the deal. I was saying to y'all, he's gonna get slaughtered. What happens? He gets 9 sacks. 9 sacks against him. Myles Garrett gets about 4. Jadeveon Clowney gets 2.5. Dan Orlovsky comes on the air last week. All right, you got us. You were right. Okay, so now we go to the Detroit Lions. What did I say all along? Play Andy Dalton, first 3 games of the season, get that out the way, buy Justin Fields some time, then put him in week 4 against the Detroit Lions. By the way, the 29th ranked defense, in the National Football League. What happens? He shows up after looking horrible because he was getting slaughtered because he got no protection whatsoever, not just from with his offense protecting him, but with Matt Nagy's play calling. Okay, he goes up against Detroit. Lo and behold, what happens? Yeah. He looks relatively decent. Wow. They win 24-14. They're going up against a team with a rookie coach in Campbell. Not really a rookie's coach before, but damn it, he might as well be a rookie.
He's doing a good job.
Yeah, really? Okay. Whatever. The point is, Dan, I said to y'all, he should start week 4. So to me, Matt Nagy making this announcement is something he could have easily made before the Detroit game. Any time before that, he had no business doing it. Okay, so to sit up there and say he should have made it 3 months ago, well, damn it, Justin Fields wasn't ready 3 months ago. Because Matt Nagy ain't ready at all.
What is it like? What is the? He wasn't even. We know that
because I'm taking into account Matt Nagy and it's look. Dan Orlovsky, do you remember what you said about Matt Nagy after the Cleveland Browns game?
Absolutely.
You talked about how it was criminal he did to Justin Fields. Okay, so we're not just looking at Justin Fields' talent. We're looking at Matt Nagy, the coach.
So
the play call at the time and some of the things that he was doing and wasn't doing. Didn't get him out of the pocket, didn't move him, didn't do anything with him. Left him there as a stationary target to get slaughtered. We brought all of that up. Matt Nagy being the coach has a lot to do with why I said Justin Fields should have to wait because you don't want to subject him to that. And they did anyway. So if they had done it earlier,
Dan,
it would have been even worse.
The prognosticator is done. He should buy a lottery ticket. You may speak now.
Me, Dan Orlovsky from St. Lawrence Elementary School and Shelton High School, who played Shelton Pop Warner. Listen, Stephen A., I get it, the whole not ready thing. But that is my exact point. No, he was not ready in August. You want him to be ready in October and November. The only way to get ready or as close to being ready as possible in today's NFL with the rules that we have and the schemes that have come into the NFL is to play these young men and let them go. Here's my question to you, Stephen A. Here's my question to you, because you don't want him to play against the Cleveland Browns. You watch the Raiders play this year? Is it okay if he plays against the Raiders defensive line this week? Or is it okay that in 3 weeks he plays against that Tampa Bay Buccaneer defensive line with Sue and JPP and Shaq Barrett? Or in 5 weeks when they got to play your Steelers? Is it okay if he plays against them?
No.
It's the big boys. It's the NFL, man.
But you're not representing my argument properly.
You said don't play against the Browns.
I said buy him those first 3 weeks because once he's in, he's in. Okay? Make sure his first start is against Detroit. Buy him those 3 weeks. You foolishly promised Andy Dalton he was going to be your starting quarterback week 1 when you signed him because you wanted Russell Wilson in the offseason and wasn't able to acquire him. So you settled for Andy Dalton and you promised him he was going to be your week 1 starter, foolishly, I might add. But since you did that, okay, go with him those first 3 weeks. Start off week 4 with Justin Fields going up against the Detroit Lions. He's your starting quarterback and don't look back. That's what I said. And so to me, that's the issue. When you look at him and what he wasn't ready for in August, that's problematic for them because Matt Nagy is going to cause you some problems.
But Stephen A.,
here's 3 weeks to buy time.
Here's where I absolutely dunk on your point. You're saying don't play him till after Cleveland because you don't want his first start to be struggle. The Bears played him against Cleveland. It was a disaster. He comes back the next week and looks really good. So obviously, playing against Cleveland and it being a disaster had very little to no impact on his ability to play against Detroit. So the whole theory of not playing him against the Browns because you didn't want to have some negative process for him or him to have his first start and it to go really poorly actually had no bearing on his performance against the Detroit Lions.
Well, first of all, that's hindsight. Secondly, and more importantly, looking ahead, I saw the Rams, the Bengals, and the Cleveland Browns. And I said, okay, wait a minute. Let's see what Andy Dalton does. Give him that time. Let him come in week 4 of the season and then move forward from there. It wasn't just Cleveland. I was saying the Rams, Bengals, Cleveland. First 3 games, buy him that time to get him ready for his NFL career, because once you put him in, you don't look back. Matt Nagy put him in against Cleveland and then walked around all apprehensive about whether he was going to start him against the Detroit Lions, which everybody was lamenting made no sense.
Stephen A., respectfully, I understand where you're coming from, but 4 out of his next 5 games against the Raiders defensive line, the Bucs defensive line, San Francisco's. So, again, this is the NFL. A lot of teams have good defensive lines. And I like the fact that week 1 against Cleveland for him starting-wise was a mess, and they changed it. I will tell you 2 things. This move should also coincide with Matt Nagy making the firm announcement that Bill Lazor is the offensive coordinator, that he is going to be the play caller, that he is taking control, and Matt Nagy is just going to be the head coach.
I agree with
that. Because I think this is a little bit of a prove yourself 12-week period for Matt Nagy. And if Justin Fields does not look fantastic, or at least the development of him does not look fantastic, then again, I think the Bears as an organization have to go find the right guy to steward Justin Fields' career moving forward.
Yeah. Let me just say, the schedule is really tough. The next 5 games, Vegas, Green Bay, Tampa, San Francisco, and then Pittsburgh's
I'm
defense.
looking at all of that, which is why I had no problem with saying he should come in week 4. And Bill Lazor, listen, let's keep an eye on him. They were the 20th ranked offense last year, okay? They're 31st right now, or 30th right now. The 2 years in Cincinnati prior to that, their offense was ranked 31 and 30 in yards. Bill Lazor was that offensive coordinator. So I'm just saying, let's not act like he's a savior. He's got something to prove, too. We'll see.
Yeah. All right, guys, we'll keep it moving. Still to come on First Take, Dan has a man crush on a guy named Joe Burrow. In his game, we all know this. Is he willing to say Burrow's career can reach Aaron Rodgers' status? They play this weekend. Plus, 2 of the greatest to ever do it in their respective sports. The answer in Megatron. Stephen A. and Dan with a discussion about these 2 that, trust me, you don't want to miss. First Take, keep it live.
Stephen A., I got your text message. What is the best play of my career? Well, I'd probably say a home game against the Lions. And you know what? I don't know if it was the best play of my career, but it definitely was the most memorable and arguably the most funny play I've ever been a part of. When I ran you're their co-host out the back of the end zone for a sack safety. I'm sure you've seen the play. I mean, it's only been replayed about a couple thousand times. So there's my answer. Hope you guys have a great show.
Really?
Yes.
Really?
Yes. Jared Allen, thank you, my brother.
Jared Allen, you're
thank you,
dead
my
to
brother.
me.
Well-deserved well-deserved honors, but I really
I hope you don't get in.
Show me that
I hope Jared
love.
Allen. I hope he doesn't get in. I hope he doesn't get in. I hope he doesn't get in after that.
He's going in. I'm sorry.
You called him?
I get you.
You
Yes,
reached
I
out
did.
to him for that?
Yes, I did.
All right, noted.
Yes, I did. I told you.
Noted.
I would get
Dan, I'm telling you, this man, he
told
doesn't forget.
I told you I will get you. And I got more. You keep messing with me.
He comes for
I got more,
revenge.
Dan Orlovsky. I got more.
Just so
keep
you
messing
know,
with me now.
Just so you know, there's lines that we can't cross.
Okay.
I obviously struggled with that in that game, but you just crossed one of them.
That's right.
And I got you noted. By the way, I'm not even sure that end zone was 10 yards. I'm not even for sure. It very easily could have been 9.
I will give you this much, though. You know, you are a slim dude, and that was a big boy running after you. You know, I mean, that was almost the equivalent of Damian Woody.
Oh, we got to play it twice?
I mean, I'm just saying. I'm just saying. I mean, look at how big Jared Allen is. Yeah. And by the way, your offensive lineman did you no favors. Zero. Zero. I mean, just did you no favors at all.
Stephen A., let me let you in on a little bit even like a greater detail of this play, right? So that's my first start. That was in the 2008 season.
Right.
We lost. A safety is worth 2 points.
Yes.
We lost that game 12-10.
Yes.
And in that season, we went 0-16.
Oh, Lord.
Think about that.
That was his first start.
I knew about, listen.
You're kind of hard on him.
No. See, that's the problem. That's the problem right there. I'm trying to get back at him, and now I feel bad.
Yeah.
Now I feel bad.
Listen,
just guilty.
listen to me.
He has a heart.
I'm sorry, Dan.
America,
It's gonna happen again.
he's not the Tin Man. He has a heart.
Listen. We are going.
Yes.
I'm going to stop with the prank. I'm sorry,
The
Dan.
prank's
I'm
over?
sorry. I love my
Dan,
man,
is it over for you?
I love my man, Dan Orlovsky. I'm going to let it go.
All right.
I'm going to let it go.
Does
Let's move on.
Does it look like this bothers me? Does it look like I'm offended? This is 13 years ago. I'm good. I like laughing at it.
I had an afro then.
All right.
Afro.
Let's
I
keep
don't know
going,
about
guys.
that with this 5-head. I don't know
Shout
about
to
that.
Jared Allen. Congrats to him on the nomination. Battle of 3-1 teams. When the Packers travel to Cincy, it'll be that bad man, the former MVP Aaron Rodgers versus the up-and-coming Joe Burrow. Burrow, who just in his second year is coming off an impressive performance on Thursday Night Football. Dan, I'll start with you on this one.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think Joe Burrow can reach Aaron Rodgers type level of play in his career? I know he's just in his second year.
Absolutely not. And I love Joe Burrow. Aaron Rodgers is one of the best players at that position we have ever seen. I was drafted the same year, Aaron. I played against Aaron way too many times. He's one of the most talented throwers of the football ever. Joe does not have that. I love Joe, but Aaron Rodgers has done stuff with the football. He's a mutant. I posted a play this week, a throw that he had this past weekend, that is just ungodly. And Joe doesn't have that in his game. Aaron is the originator of the no-look pass. Matthew Stafford was one of Patrick Mahomes did not originate it. Aaron Rodgers and Matthew Stafford essentially did. I love Joe. I think Joe can win a Super Bowl. I think that Bengals can win. Look at that throw. It's just outrageous. I think Joe can win a Super Bowl. This throw is the one that is a mutant, though. But Aaron Rodgers is too talented. Aaron Rodgers has the arm kind of inexplicable, Ryan Clark arm arrogance stuff that Joe Burrow cannot do. I love Joe. I think that he's going to be a special player. I don't trust that organization. I mean, Aaron Rodgers is one of the most, part of one of the most historical organizations in the history of the NFL. The Bengals are not that. I think he can win a Super Bowl, but he cannot go get what number 12 has done.
I can't rule it out. I can't rule it out. And here's the reason why I feel this way, because you know how I feel about Aaron Rodgers. He's a bad brother. I mean, he's a bad man. We all know this. But when you only have one Super Bowl championship and one Super Bowl appearance, could Joe Burrow achieve that? Possibly. He's completed a career 66% of his passes. He's a national champion on a collegiate level. Mm-hmm. In the pro level, before he got hurt, Dan Orlovsky, he was playing pretty well.
No doubt.
This year right now, he's completing about 70% of his passes. Aaron Rodgers, for his career, has completed 65% of his passes. I know we look at some of the passes that he has thrown and how gifted he is, but I think when you take into account, Dan, and I'll defer to you because I'm being very serious here, but my mindset is when we consider the lax in rules that has really contaminated the defensive side of the ball in the National Football League and what defenses are subjected to, and as a result, what quarterbacks are allowed to do because of the excessive nature in which they're protected in today's day and age. I think when all is said and done, I'm talking about Joe Burrow's career, I don't think you'll find people reminiscing about and really, really comparing guys like that while taking all of those things into consideration that I just pointed out. All they'll look at is numbers. And the numbers are potentially could be very, very comparable to what we've seen Aaron Rodgers do. Those of us who've seen Aaron Rodgers with our human eyes, we recognize the fact that this is a once-in-a-generation kind of talent. And we understand that. But most people are not going to know that when all is said and done.
Dan, let me piggyback on what Stephen A. said, because at age 25, I did have research look up all the numbers. The win-loss record is the same through 14 starts. TD to interception ratio, Burrow's better. Pass yards, Burrow's better. Completion percentage, Burrow's better. QBR, Burrow's better.
I think that's a little bit attached to the era. Aaron's,
absolutely.
I mean, Stephen A.'s point, we're 13 or 14 years removed from Aaron's first years as a starter. I think it's simply put for this is me. Can Joe Burrow reach Aaron Rodgers' ceiling in totality? I don't think so because, one, I don't know if the Bengals organization is going to be as good as the Packers when it comes to stability. The stability of the organization. Quarterbacks are dependent upon what is around them. Number two, I think to realistically say that he can, it's got to be something physical. And my mind goes to, you guys remember the throw that he makes, Aaron Rodgers I'm talking about, in the Super Bowl against the Steelers to Greg Jennings on third down where it's thrown through a keyhole? I don't think Joe's got that arm velocity. Or the scramble against the Cowboys in the playoffs when he's going to the left and he throws that ball to, maybe it's Jared Cook or someone. He just doesn't have And that would be the difference. Again, I love Joe, and I think they can win this weekend. And I think he could be an absolute stud. If I had to take one young quarterback, I'm hard-pressed not to take him. But we're talking about Aaron Rodgers, and we're talking about a guy strictly off of his play, because he's only won one Super Bowl, strictly off of his play that we put into, is this the most talented or one of the best to ever play the position? And he's only won one. I think that speaks to how great he is.
And what my retort to all of that is, because I get where you're coming from and I'm with you, but that's because we're watching them both, and I get that. And we've seen Aaron Rodgers throughout his career, Dan, as well as, and people are seeing Joe Burrow now. But I remember I was driving the other day, Dan, and somebody was on the air, and I forgot who it was, and they were raving about how we never thought we'd see anybody better than Johnny Unitas. Well, damn it, I didn't see Johnny Unitas. I mean, I have no choice but to defer to the historians who've witnessed all of it and say, hey, look at what this guy did. You have no idea. And I'm talking about, for me, Dan, listen, man, I grew up, I watched Fran Tarkenton. Remember how he used to be able to scramble with that football? Yeah. You understand? I mean, when we talk about Joe Montana and his Super Bowl championships, I remember one Terry Bradshaw winning 4 Super Bowl titles. We talk about great wide receivers like Jerry Rice and Randy Moss and T.O. Well, I remember Lynn Swann and John Stallworth in the Steel City. You understand? And when we talk about, defenses, the 85 Bears, and we defer. Well, I remember the Steel Curtain with me and Joe Green and L.C. Greenwood and Jack Ham and Jack Lambert and Mel Blount and those brothers. When we talk about hitters and assassins, I remember Jack Tatum for the Oakland Raiders at the time. The list goes on and on. What I'm saying is you could pull up all of that stuff, but in the end, if you haven't seen it with your own human eyes, you're going to defer to numbers. And in the end, Joe Burrow's numbers might be comparable. That's all I'm trying to say.
I'd say this, Mal. I think Joe Burrow can be Steve Young. I think that's who he can be, Steve Young.
Yes, yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
I mean, that's still good company to be in.
Yeah.
That's no slight. All right. One of Stephen A's favorite players ever. The answer, Allen Iverson. Is he being disrespected by the Sixers organization? Stay put for that story in just a bit. And Kevin Durant, he spoke.
Love the Lions. But this is so stupid by them. I was there when we were terrible. We were the laughing stock of the NFL. Those fans came to every single game. And one of the reasons why is the guy on the screen, 81. One of the reasons why is because to go watch that Hall of Fame player play. We were on Monday Night Football a couple times, and the only reason why was number 81. He's one of the pillars of that city. This man could have left Detroit after he got done playing. He still lives in that city. He's a man of character. His family's incredible. Detroit means a lot to him. They're basically telling, we don't want you to be a part of our organization over $1.6 million. The Lions, this is so ignorant by them because Calvin wants to be a part of that place. Not only should they pay him back their $1.6 million, they should put interest on it because that money should have been sitting in the bank account. They should go to Calvin and go, whatever we need to do, you need to be a part of our organization. No, there's no side job, Lions. There's no community service that he should have to do. There's no appearances that he should have to do. You guys have to make this right. Allen Iverson's right with Philadelphia, and Calvin Johnson is right with the Detroit Lions. You call him and go, what does it take to make sure? Listen, he's one of the faces of the franchise of the last 50 years. Barry Sanders and Calvin Johnson. The Lions should make this right. This is, in many ways, an embarrassment that one of the faces of your organization, the guy that gave you, I was in those locker rooms, this man gave that football organization everything that he had. The Lions owe it to their fans, they owe it to their organization, and they owe it to their players, and mainly Calvin Johnson. You call him, you send his money back to him, plus interest, and you go, what do you want? Because we want you as part of our organization. The Sixers need to do the same thing with AI.
Appreciate your sentiments, Dan. Molly, Dan. You know, I'm going to try to be as cool as I possibly can be in expressing this, and it's going to take me a little while, so bear with me. Anybody that knows anything about me in terms of covering the NBA knows that Allen Iverson is my man. I've covered him for the first 10 years of his career every day in Philadelphia. It's not a popular thing to say when you are a journalist or ultimately becomes a commentator and a pundit or whatever, but I love this brother. He's the little brother I never had. I'm the youngest of 6. And we're that tight. I have that level of love for him. And so anything that I say, it's important that I preface my comments by acknowledging that relationship that he and I have. We still talk all the time. He's watching now. Allen Iverson was not perfect. Allen Iverson came to practice late sometimes. Allen Iverson, in some people's eyes might have violated every dress code you can imagine. Allen Iverson, didn't always toe the line. He was a maverick. The tats, the cornrows, and all of this other stuff that comes with it that people either want to revere and praise him for or denigrate him for. All of those things you can side with. And when you think about corporate America and what it requires from us, particularly how I roll, if you make some of the mistakes that he made, you would sit up there and say, why should the Sixers want Allen Iverson there? So let me put that out there. And my response to that is the Sixers organization is the one organization that has no business taking this position. Allen Iverson is absolutely right. 1,000%. And I haven't spoken to the Sixers, but I will. Because this is some BS. I was not aware. I didn't ask Allen Iverson about this. I wasn't aware that he had absolutely no role with the Sixers organization. I don't know what the hell was wrong with me. I didn't think to ask. I assumed that they did have him in for. And let me tell you why I assumed that. Dan, Molly, the same Sixers organization that evidently doesn't employ Allen Iverson in any capacity is the same Sixers organization that used him for bobblehead night and retired his jersey and did everything they could to celebrate him in recent years to generate revenue and interest in their franchise when that bogus process was ongoing and you couldn't win a damn practice game, let alone a real NBA game. Nobody was interested. You sucked as an organization. And what did you do? Allen Iverson, could you come to the rescue? Could you be there for us? We want to celebrate you and what have you. You marketed it. You monetized it. You generated revenue off of it. That's what you did because you didn't matter at that time. This is when Joel Embiid was hurt. And he was out for the first 2 years. This is when Ben Simmons was hurt and he couldn't play his year. This is when the process led by Mr. Sam Hinkie and Josh Harris, the owner, and all of these other guys, when you couldn't buy a damn game, when you were losing 18 and 19 in a row and suffering from 10 and 72 seasons. That's what you were doing. And Allen Iverson was of interest then. And think about what he said to Taylor Rooks, who did an outstanding job with that interview, by the way. And my man Al Harrington was sitting right next to AI. I love that brother, too. What did you do? You did all of that. What did Allen Iverson say when he sat down with Taylor Rooks? You know what he said? He said, I know basketball. He's not talking about analytics and PERs and all of this other stuff. He's talking about himself, a career 26.7 point per game scorer, a Hall of Famer, a dude that played his first 10 years in Philadelphia, averaging over 40 minutes a night. His lowest minutes total per night was 39.4 minutes per game his second year in the league. We hadn't seen a box office attraction like him this side of Michael Jordan. Kobe came later in terms of being box office. AI was already there. He carried this franchise on the back. And if it wasn't for Kobe Bryant and Shaquille O'Neal, he would have delivered a championship because he got up to the finals. And somehow, some way, you have no role for this brother? When Ben Simmons is talking about he don't ever want to play for the franchise again, when you talk about the city of brotherly love, a blue-collar city, if ever there was one, heart, guts, warriors, who personifies that better than Allen Iverson? Nobody. And every player this side, you can't find an NBA player now that wouldn't tell you what a warrior that brother is. Came there every night. You knew you were going to have to deal with him. And they all revere about it. LeBron revered. Kobe, God rest his soul, revered about it. Shaq talked about it. Barkley, everybody. Nobody's saying the brother should be the president of basketball operations or some GM. He'll tell you that. But no role, 76ers? Zero? You trying to tell me if Allen Iverson was hanging around, that these players, any of them would be devoid of heart, that we'd have questions about whether or not what cardiologist they need to see? If Allen Iverson was a part of that organization in some capacity? I find this to be incredibly egregious. And like I said, I don't know all the details. I heard what he had to say. I'm going to call the Sixers about this because to me, there's no excuse for Allen Iverson. As far as I'm concerned, Allen Iverson should be receiving a check from the Sixers for the rest of his life. What he did for that franchise, how he carried them on his back, what money he generated for the Sixers franchise over those years. Allen Iverson should be receiving a check from the Philadelphia 76ers for the rest of his life. I don't give a damn you got him as a scout. I don't give a damn if you got him as a consultant. Whatever the case may be, he does know basketball. And let me tell you something. He could spot a soft brother that ain't got the heart to play basketball in a heartbeat. Yeah. He could peel that out in a second. He don't need analytics to do that. I'm going to stop right there because, again, I understand the brother ain't perfect.
But nobody's perfect.
But if you were thrown in jail at age 17 and sentenced to 3 5-year prison term sentences because of a mob that developed in a bowling alley when there was so much that was up in the air that was so questionable, and you nearly had your life ruined, okay? Sometimes you're going to come out of that experience and you're not going to make all the right decisions. You're not going to make the best decisions. But I know this much. The brother went from incarceration to being a Hall of Famer. And one of the greatest warriors this game of basketball has ever seen, who personifies everything Philadelphia claims to be. For the Philadelphia 76ers to have this situation where this brother is receiving absolutely nothing is shameful. I'm going to leave it at that. Okay. Because I don't want to say no more because I might say something that might get myself fired.
All right, we'll leave it right there. And now it's all out on Front Street. So appreciate your passion, Stephen A. By the way, Daryl Morey, who's never had any relationship with the Philadelphia 76ers, quality executive, I get all of that, making anywhere from $8 to $10 million a year. And he didn't generate money for the Philadelphia 76ers. I'm sure he will because I love Daryl Morey and he deserves his money. But you can't find something for Allen Iverson? Nothing? Well, maybe that'll be rectified now. We'll leave it there, guys. Still to come here, the situation down in Jacksonville seems to get worse each week. Urban Meyer says things are fine, but
I thought at the time, now that I maybe thought it through, but I thought at the time this is a chance for everybody to clear their head, including myself, with my family located, where we were, to go spend a day or two with them and then get back, because I knew I wanted them to get out of Dodge too and clear their heads.
Did you ever feel distraught enough to consider resigning at all?
No.
He's still my head coach. I still respect him, regardless of what happens. Like I said, we're a team and we're figuring it out. So, we're all good. We had a great day of practice today, and we're all still working.
Dan, with all things considered, Urban Meyer with the strength and conditioning coach and the racial issues with that and how he offended some folks, the team losing, now this latest incident, it seems he's been a bit of a distraction for the team. Do you think he should consider resigning?
I don't think he should have been given the option. I would have fired him. Listen, I wish he was as mature as Trevor Lawrence in his handling of that press conference. I'm just going to talk about Urban Meyer, the coach here. This has nothing to do with the man, so to speak. If I'm in that locker room, you have no credibility. None. You're sitting up there 4 days after this weekend's incident saying you thought it was the opportunity to clear your head. Coach, this is the NFL. We are only 0-4. We are not 0-10. Clear your head. What about me as a player? Am I allowed to just not do something with our team because I need to clear my head? How about our other coaches on the staff? Were those guys allowed to not fly home with the football team and deal with things head on? As a player, there's a lot of things you want from your coach, but you want a guy that in the midst of the storm never wavers, that gives a very clear message of how we are going to dig ourselves out of the hole, that how we are going to handle the situations, that does not roller coaster with the circumstances of what is going around us. You want someone that is going to point you in the direction when everything around you is in chaos. And that happened to be the opposite of Urban Meyer as a leader. So there's no credibility. If I'm in that locker room, you have no credibility with me. Trust is an action that is followed by words. Trust is an action. And there is nothing that a coach can do worse than what has transpired in Jacksonville. Now, he says I have to go regain their trust. With all due respect, we are not in a marriage together. You have broken that. We are not going to counseling. This is not something that you are going to regain. Trevor Lawrence and that football team have about 3 months of left of this season. There is not enough time. There's not enough intimate moments. There is not enough dirt digging for him to go and regain the trust of that football team. That football team, player-wise, will lead themselves moving forward. And the last thing I'll say is this. The most important draft pick they ever took was Trevor Lawrence. And the future of their organization is solely dependent on how good he performs over the next decade. You better have the right person, the right leader, and in charge of that kind of process.
Dan, we got to go, so I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this because we got some stuff coming up about Kyrie Irving and the Brooklyn Nets and all of that stuff. But I'm going to say this to you. I think you're wrong. And I'll be honest with you. I mean, you're a human being and you're a good brother. I got to ask you a question, albeit rhetorically. People don't get to make mistakes. When you talk about Urban Meyer, and put me up on the split screen because I want to look at Darren Orlovsky when I'm saying this. Urban Meyer, the last 2 times he's coached football, was over 13 years, albeit on the collegiate level. Won a national championship in Florida and won 81% of his games. Won a couple of national championships at Ohio State, won 90% of his games. Even though he's done some questionable things, clearly winning football games, ain't a question about that. He knows what he's doing in regards to coaching the game of football. So when you bring up the fact that my success depends on you, well, there's no resume of Urban Meyer that shows that he can help a team win football games. Not yet. And the fact of the matter is, when you take that into consideration, now we transition to the personal. Urban Meyer messed up. Nobody is excusing his behavior, okay? And again, him having his hand on that woman's leg, that's for him to answer to his family and all of that other stuff, okay? That's a given. Right. Keyshawn pointed out how, well, you know what, you travel back with your team. Okay, well, you got to travel back with your team. He's 0-4. He wears every loss on his sleeve. This is new to him. The game was in Ohio. He owns a business in Ohio. So he went to that business, that establishment, and he went to see his grandkids. So while he was there, he transgressed, okay, in whatever he was doing, all right? My point is that you can excoriate him. You can sit up there and say you better than that. You can sit up there and look at him and say, look, man, you have this responsibility. You can do what Shad Khan, the owner for the Jaguars, did.
Yeah.
He lost our trust. He's got to gain it back. This better not happen again. But you and I have both seen people who have lost the trust of a fan base, of their team, even of their employer, and regained it. All I'm saying is it's not a period and an exclamation point that should be attached to Urban Meyer's resume off of this one incident. I think that's a bit excessive, Dan.
And I know we got to go, so real quickly, my response would be, yes, you're allowed to make a mistake, but you're not allowed to have consistent mistakes, and you're not allowed to have repetitive behavior. To much is given, much is expected. There's 32 jobs like this in the world, and he has one of them. It's a high expectation level.
I agree with that.
Yeah, and I think of guys like Eric Bieniemy who would kill for this job and deserve a job like that. And
Well, I'm not talking about the repeated history. I'm just talking about this one incident, but I understand.
Yeah, but it seems like it's a bit of a pattern.